back to my channel. I'm Bean, and today I wanted to do a video talking about eye brushes and kind of what I use for what. I've gone through all of my eye brushes and made a list of what I use for what, and I'm going to talk about those with you guys today, so I hope you enjoy that. And without further ado, I'm gonna jump right on into the video. Okay, so the first type of brushes that I wanted to talk about are big blending brushes, and when you are doing your eyeshadow, these are what you want to start with. They can give you a full wash of color over your eye, and you can use these to blend out eyeshadow, to put down a transition shade, all that kind of stuff. So I have picked out a few of my favorites and what I like to use them for. The first two that I've got are bigger, fluffier brushes, and what I like to use these for is to put down a whole wash of a transition color. So for example, I would use a light matte color like this, and I will just get in with one of these brushes and put it all over my whole lid. Now normally I'll either put down an eyelid primer or I will use my concealer and cover my whole lid with that, and I will put that down on my whole lid just to mattify any cream products that I have, whether it's foundation, concealer, or an eyelid primer, and just have a clean slate for starting out my eye makeup. And these two brushes are both from Morphe. One is the M502, that's this one. It's pretty fat. I'm not really sure the best way to show you this, but it's kind of like a fingertip wide. And then the other one is the E27, and that is this brush here, pretty wide and fluffy. So I like to use these for that because it's quick, easy, you can get a full wash of color really fast. And the next three brushes that I have to talk about are large blending brushes, and they look like this. What I'll use these for is putting down a color in the crease and then buffing and blending that out. So usually I will put down crease color with this, or a transition color with this, and as you can see, these are a little bit smaller in size than these two, but they're still big and they're still fluffy. The fluffiness helps to blend out the eyeshadow and get rid of any harsh lines. And the brushes that I've got here are the Morphe E28, that's this one, the Morphe M576, that's this one, and the Moda Pro BMX 430 brush, which is this one. And I like these brushes to be pretty soft and pretty flexible, and so you can easily put the shadow wherever you want. The next category of brushes that I wanted to talk about are smaller blending brushes, and so these are basically the same thing as the previous ones I just talked about, but a little bit smaller. So they are more this size, whereas the ones that I just talked about are more this size, so you can see they're a little bit smaller. And what I like to do with these is if I have a color that I want right in my crease, but I don't want it to go above or below my crease, I use one of these. And I have a few here that I like, a few different sizes. This one is the largest one, but it's more densely packed than the larger blending brushes, so when you go to use it, it doesn't move around as much, so you can keep that color right where you want it. This is the Sedona Lace EB13 brush. I have these three brushes, which are about the same size, a little bit smaller than the blenders. You can use them for both, but these are just a little bit smaller than the larger blenders I had mentioned. This is the Morphe PK36, and this one is from Wet n Wild. It doesn't have a number, and you can still get these on their website. And then the Morphe RG24, which is this one. And I've got two more to talk about in that same category, and these are much smaller, as you can see, than these, and I like these to use for the same idea, keeping a color right there or on my outer corner to buff in a single color and just deepen out my outer corner. And the two brushes that I have here are the Slmissglam T35 and the Mott blending brush. The next category I wanted to talk about are pointed blending brushes, and these are even more precise than the ones that I just talked about, because as you can see on the tips of these brushes, they come to a point. You can probably see the best on this one, how it comes to a point at the top, and these are really nice about getting right in a desired area and putting a color down exactly where you want it. This one is the Morphe 412. This one's probably my favorite for this category, but I also really like the Vasanti Contour Eyeshadow number 4 brush and the Morphe M411 brush. The next category is kind of a weird one, and I don't use these all the time. These are angled eye brushes. As you can see, the brush kind of comes down at an angle this way. What I use these for, if I use them at all, is to pack color in my outer V out here. So that's like this portion of your eye here, and you can use that to kind of elongate your eye. Normally, I just do that with a blending brush, but these make it a little bit easier just to kind of drag that color out because of their shape. The three that I have here are the Slmissglam Angled Eye W20. That one's hard to see because it kind of blends into my hand. The Royal and Langnickel Angle Shader and the Luxie 207. And that is this one. The next category of brushes that I've got are round brushes like this. I hardly ever use these, but they are really good at packing on color in one specific spot. I've got a few different sizes here. This one is quite large compared to this one that is pretty small. You can use these to pack on color to your outer V. You can use these to pack on color to your crease, wherever you want really, but they're mostly a packing brush. I don't like them for blending at all. And the ones that I've got here, the largest one is the Morphe M331, and then a medium Morphe M577 and Morphe M578. I know a lot of these are Morphe brushes, and I will mention why at the end. The next type of brush that I've got is one of my favorite types, and I call these Fluffs. I don't really know what they're called for real, but I use them to kind of fluff out my eyeshadow. So I will take a brush like this. They are all kind of similar in that they're just kind of a flat, fluffy, messy looking brush. I'll just go over the eyeshadow that I've already got on and just kind of go along the edges really lightly and buff it out so that any harsh lines get buffed away and I don't have any extra color on one of my blending brushes, or I don't use a brush that's too big. So the ones that I have here, my favorite one is this one here. This is the Morphe R39. I love this one because it's pretty small and it's easy to get right where you want it. But I also have the Morphe M443 and the M521 from Morphe as well. The next category that I've got is the lid brushes. Now, you can use any of these brushes however you want to. This is just kind of how I like to use them. And a lot of times these brushes are considered concealer brushes. A lot of brushes with this shape are normally considered a concealer brush when you buy it at the store, but I like to use them for all over my lid. So I've got one here. This one is from EcoTools. It doesn't have a number, but it's just a big round flat brush. And these are good for packing on color to the lid, putting on a shimmer shade. You can dip into the color and then pack it on. You can dip into the color if it's a shimmer shade and spray some Fix Plus or setting spray to wet it and pack that on, and it will give you a shinier look. And then I've also got some fluffier eyeshadow brushes, which are for the same purpose. And these are just kind of a little bit fluffier, not as stiff, I guess, as this one is. These are the Morphe PK524, an EcoTools brush as well. This one is from that same collection, doesn't have a number on it. This is the Beau Gâchis Paris eyeshadow brush. I really like this one, it's super soft. And this one is from Crown Brushes, it doesn't have a number either. The next style of brushes that I have are eyeliner brushes. I hardly ever use these because if I put on eyeliner, I usually use a pencil or a liquid liner or something like that. But these are more if you want to use like a gel liner, or if you're putting eyeliner on someone else and you don't want to use your product directly on their eyeball. So I've got a few different types here. I've got this one, which is a angled liner brush. And as you can see, the ferrule is bent a little bit here, and that makes it easy so you can hold your brush like you normally would and see exactly what you're doing and draw a straight line for your wing eyeliner or regular eyeliner or whatever. This one is the Sedona Lace EB19 brush, and I've also got one of a similar style that just has a regular ferrule, and it's just a tiny little liner brush. I got these from Hot Topic, so they have dragons on them, which I think is cool, but super bulky and not practical. But this one you can also just use to draw on your eyeliner. I find that when I use these types of liner brushes, they are a bit too flimsy a lot of the time, so I end up getting it everywhere. So the type of brushes that I like to use more for gel liner are these angled brushes. A lot of times these will be labeled as brow brushes, sometimes as an angled liner brush, just depends. This one is EcoTools, again doesn't have a number, but it's pretty stiff, and this one is from Morphe, the PK45. However, when using these types of brushes as liner brushes, I do recommend that you use them very stiff, and that's the problem problem with some of them. They are too not stiff. I don't know. So I've thought about kind of gluing them a little bit so that the ends are very, very stiff, because that's the one problem that you come across, is that when you're trying to put on liner, your bristles move and screw up your liner. So I also like to use for eyeliner brow brushes, and normally these are a bit smaller than an eyeliner brush, as you can see, and normally they are a lot more stiff and they don't move as much. So the one that I like the most for this is the Anastasia Beverly Hills number 12 brush. It's this one, and it comes with a spoolie on the other end, and the Sedona Lace EB17 looks like this, and a spoolie on the other end as well. The next category that I want to talk about are under eye brushes, and a lot of times I use little different sized pencil brushes for this. So I'll use like a big one to kind of put a full wash of color underneath my eye. This is from Wet n Wild, that same collection. I'm sorry, it doesn't have a number. And then I will use smaller ones like this, little dome pencil brushes, to more precisely put color wherever I want it, line really close to my lash line with a color, things like that. This is Morphe M168, Morphe E36, and Luxie 141. Two more brushes that I like to use for that purpose are the Sephora Pro Smoky Liner number 24 brush, and it is more of a pointed brush, and I can get right in there and put the shadow right next to my lash line using the very tip of this brush, and it doesn't go anywhere else. Another brush that I like to use for that same purpose is this one. It is a flat top brush, and this is the Morphe M432, and I like to use this as a liner brush, and I'll either use this on my upper lid and use an eyeshadow as liner, or on my bottom for the same thing. The last two under eye brushes that I want to talk about are smudging brushes, and I've got two here that I like. This one is from Tarte. It's a bit of a bigger one, but it's nice to kind of just smoke out your bottom lash line if you want a more smoky look and something a little bit less defined. I think this came in the Graveyard Girl Swamp Queen palette, so I'm not sure if you can get this brush otherwise, but something similar to this shape will work just the same. And then one of my other favorites is the e.l.f. smudge brush. This is definitely my favorite smudging brush. I have 3 of them because I bought them when they were on sale for 50 cents one time, and so I've got 3 of them, and I just use them pretty much every time I do my eyeshadow on the bottom. We are almost done. The second to last category I have are inner corner brushes, and these are what I used in my inner corner and usually my brow bone to add a little bit of highlight. And I've got 4 brushes here. One is a brush like this. It came in kind of in a dupe set of the Artiste brushes, which are like the super expensive oval brushes. You can usually find these. I got my whole set for $20 on Amazon. Sometimes you can find them at TJ Maxx, different places like that. But I like this one just because it is a little bit of it's just like a little circle, so I can stick it right there in my inner corner. Another one that I love is this EcoTools brush. It is small, so I can really precisely get my inner corner highlight wherever I want it. This is another brush that I love. Unfortunately, I don't think you can get this one anywhere because I got it in a weird palette from TJ Maxx years ago, so I'm guessing you can't get it anymore, but it looks similar to like a lip brush, so I think you can probably use a lip brush for the same purpose, and I use this if I want a bigger space. And I also really like to use this brush for my brow highlight. It's one of my favorites for that, hands down. And then my absolute favorite highlighting brush for my inner corner is this one right here. This is the Morphe M562, and it's a little bit fluffy on the end, and I just put it in whatever highlight shade I want to use and just kind of fluff it right in my inner corners. But this is what I use, and then I also use it for my brows, and it's fluffy and it buffs the color, and I think it's awesome. One of my favorite brushes, hands down. Whew. I'm trying to like get through this because I've got a lot of stuff to talk about, and I don't want this video to be super long. Okay, so the last category that I have is eyelashes. So normally in the realm of eyelashes, you really don't need anything for them, to be honest. You can use your mascara straight on your lashes and you're good to go. However, if you are doing makeup on someone else, it is a very good idea to not put your mascara wand directly on their eyeball because it's not sanitary and you can get eye infections really easily. So what I would recommend doing is either getting disposable wands and using those if you are working on other people, or you can get a brush like this. This is a mascara brush. It is a very small fan brush. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I never use this. I think it's kind of a pain and I never use it, but it's there if you're interested. You use your mascara wand, you put it on here, and then you just can brush it onto whoever your lashes you're doing. I don't particularly care for this, but it's there. And the other brush that I have here to talk about is from Sonia Kashuk, and it is, I believe, a brow brush, but I use it for lashes. It's got a really coarse, I don't know, like a broom type of brush, and then on the other side it's got these little metal combs. So what I use this for is if I get mascara on that is too clumpy or my lashes are clumping together and I don't like it, I will take this and I will comb through my lashes, either that way or down or however, and I will comb through them and I will get off the excess mascara. Honestly, I mean, not necessary, but I like it. And then once I do that, sometimes it kind of messes up my lashes, so I'll use the broom side and I'll just like swipe like that and fix my lashes. And then of course, this isn't a brush, but a good old lash curler can always help. Okay guys, so that completes this video. I hope that you enjoyed this quick run through on brushes. I will link all of the brushes that I mentioned and the categories that I use them for down below. Again, brushes can really be used for whatever you want them to be used for, whatever you find the most useful. You don't have to use them the exact way that I do. I mean, honestly, if you looked up a lot of these brushes on the sites, they would not say the same things that I say that I use them for. So it just kind of is, as you go, you kind of learn what types of brushes that you like and how you want to use them. But I hope this is a helpful start for you guys. If you don't know much about brushes or you're not really sure which brushes you want to use for certain things, I hope this is a good start for you. So I forgot to mention, the reason that I have so many Morphe brushes is because I have a subscription service called Morphe Me, and for 20 bucks a month you get anywhere from like 3 to 8 brushes sent to you, and a lot of them are like limited edition brushes or they are special for the subscription, but you also get their regular brushes. You get all kinds of brushes, and that's why I have so many brushes. I love that subscription. It is so worth it to me. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick before I go, and yeah. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up down below and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the